Hey everybody, yes, you read that correctly. I guess more clearly put, Sadhu is saying that if you don't satisfy your wife sexually, God won't hear your prayers. Let's jump right in. This is a sermon he preached in Japan, and I've edited out the translator for time's sake, but will leave a link to the full clip below. This is in two parts. I'll play the first part in full because it's only 35 seconds, and then we will look at what the Bible really says.
When you walk away from the will of God, the heavens over your life is closed. When a husband defrauds his wife from fulfilling her sexual needs, the heavens over him is closed. If you read 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 7, it tells us there that a husband's prayers can be hindered because his wife is not fulfilled in her sexual needs. If the wife is not satisfied in the sexual life between her and husband, the husband's prayer not heard.
In my last video, we talked about the difference between exegesis and eisegesis, and if you haven't seen that yet, I'll leave a link at the end of this video. But this is a perfect example of eisegesis and reading into one verse a twisted and only partial meaning that is meant to support the message you want to get across. So let's look at 1 Peter 3:7. Likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers may not be hindered. I'm sure we'd agree that on a surface reading, this does not say that unless you satisfy your wife's sexual needs, God will not answer your prayers. The key word we have to look at here is dwell, because that is where the root of this message stems from. But we'll see in other translations they use the word live. To use the word dwell as to mean sexual satisfaction is stretching a long way. A father dwells in his home with his wife and children, but it's obviously not referring to Sadhu's meaning for both. And we have to remember the context. This whole passage is dealing with a husband and wife honoring one another. To just cherry pick one verse and make it all about sexual satisfaction is twisted, to say the least. If we look at the Greek, it says dwelling with them, and the word is sunokeo, and has a much deeper meaning than just sex. It means to dwell with, living in wedlock. The Thayer's Greek lexicon explained it as the domestic association and intercourse of a husband and wife. Yes, as we see in 1 Corinthians 7:5, we are not to deprive one another in this area, but it's not just about sex. And Strong's Exhaustive Concordance describes it as residing together as a family. I read many of the commentaries from scholars, and not one of them says this is about sexual satisfaction. We can go even deeper if we look at the words of you, and the Greek root is haimon, which is likened to ye. Like when a king says, hear ye, he's not speaking to just one person. We see here that this word is in the genitive second person plural voice, which is referring to multiple people being addressed. So if we look at this in context, it's more about living together in a spiritual way and not pleasing in a worldly outward appearance. Respect and honor of each other so that your husband and wife's prayers may not be hindered. But to say this means that if a husband doesn't satisfy his wife sexually, God won't hear your prayers is a message from the enemy, not of God. It's a message of fear and literally self-performance. So now that we understand this better, I'm going to play this short clip again and continue with the next part where he's saying that God is showing him that a man in his church is not meeting up to the standards of his wife's sexual satisfaction.
When a husband defrauds his wife from fulfilling her sexual needs, the heavens over him is closed. If you read 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 7, it tells us there that a husband's prayers can be hindered because his wife is not fulfilled in her sexual needs. If the wife is not satisfied in the sexual life between her and husband, the husband's prayer not heard. I didn't know about this scripture until the Lord showed me in 1985. I was praying one day and the Lord spoke to me about one of our church member. And the Lord pointed out that he has this problem. And as a result, his prayers are not heard.
Now, is it just me, or does this sound a bit suspicious? I really can't picture God exposing a man in a congregation based on such a personal thing. What did God say, Sadhu? He just ain't pleasing his wife in the bedroom. So I'd like you to bring that up with him. Oh, and tell him it's okay because I told you to do it. Come on, really? I believe God may reveal stuff to us so that we may help each other, but on such a personal thing is ridiculous. And how can Sadhu help in this situation anyways? Really? What's he gonna say? Hey, buddy, come on, just try harder. Practice, maybe get a coach. And then maybe God will start answering your prayers. I mean, this is just shameful.
And the heavens over him are like brass iron. So when I asked the Lord, I've never heard anything like this before, then the Lord showed me this scripture, which later when I told the church member about it, he admitted they have a problem.
And did you notice he admitted they had a problem? But wasn't this whole sermon about the man not fulfilling the wife? Shouldn't he have said, and he admitted that he had a problem? Now, I know for all the Sadhu lovers out there that I'm going to get remarks on this video, but if you just look at all the other videos I've done and realize this guy is a false prophet and a false teacher and is drawing all eyes on himself and not to God, how did God get any glory from this message? Think about it. The conclusion we can get from this message is that if men don't satisfy their wives in the bedroom, then God will not hear their prayers. That is far from a biblical message. Run, people, run.